So I got tagged by VGMashUP to do top 10 favorite games of all time. And just to start this video, I want to do a shout out for VGMashUP's channel. If you have not checked out his channel and you're not subscribed, I would highly ask you to go check out his channel and to please subscribe. He does a lot of great videos. He does a lot of great top 10 lists, like top 10 great games just to get into on various consoles. And then he has a lot of great pickups videos, and he's just very knowledgeable in the games that he picks up. And I like his channel a lot because he's positive about the games that he's talking about, and he's super funny and very charismatic. So yeah, he did a top 10 favorites games of all time, and then tagged my channel on it. And I guess with the tag, you're supposed to tag 5 other channels, and then do it yourself. However, a lot of the channels that I used to follow no longer really post videos on YouTube anymore, or they don't post game related videos on YouTube anymore. So I'm struggling to think of 5 channels that even still regularly post games. So I'll throw out Emperor Fox because I know he still posts videos about gaming. And I would also ask you to go check out his channel and subscribe if you're not already. And Blink Coom, if you have not checked out his channel, please check it out. He has not posted on YouTube for a while, but he does stream on Twitch, and he does pickups, like live pickups videos on Twitch, and it's pretty cool. So it'd be cool if he made another video on YouTube or something. But please, if you make videos on YouTube and you're watching this channel, consider yourself tagged. And please, if you want to make a response to this video, do so and then drop a link down in the chat, because I'm always down to discover new channels, and it would just be cool to, I don't know, build up another like community or network of people who just like games, kind of how it used to be in the older days of YouTube. And also, if you're just looking for an excuse to start a YouTube channel, or if you've been trying to think of a channel or a video to put on your channel and it's been a while, please consider yourself tagged again and go ahead and make a response to this video. So I'll start off my top 10 by saying these games aren't going to be in any specific order. I would just say, like, these are the games that I would grab if my house was burning down and I can only take what I could carry in my arms. Like, these are the games that would immediately come to mind. And I'll throw in one honorable mention. So the honorable mention goes to Final Fantasy VII Remake. So this game, I did not have high hopes for this game at all. Especially after, say, like the last 10-15 years of Square Enix Final Fantasy output. Just was not thinking that this was going to be anything special. But I'm glad I was wrong, because this actually turned out to be a very good experience. It's probably my favorite Final Fantasy experience at this point in time. Like, when I first started playing Chapter 1, I was immediately hooked. However, when I got to Chapter 2, I almost quit playing this game because I thought that fetch quests were how they were going to pad out the entirety of this game. But luckily, I powered through it, and then I ended up finding out that this is just an incredible game after Chapter 2. And yeah, so just definitely gets an honorable mention. If I had a little bit of extra space in my arms, I would grab this. Otherwise, I just buy a new copy of it. All right. So, like I said, no particular order in these games, so I'm just going to kind of grab games from the pile here and show them. Next one up is going to be Breath of the Wild. This game, I 3D Legend of Zelda games have kind of burnt me out. Like, Ocarina of Time I thought was pretty fun, especially back in the day when it first released, because it was a Legend of Zelda game. It was kind of a lengthy Legend of Zelda game, and it had 3D graphics in a time where like 3D graphics were just starting to get their legs under them. And it was one of the only Nintendo 64 games that I had, and so I played it over and over and over and over. Like, I played the death out of Ocarina of Time. But like, everything that came after Ocarina of Time, like, I just didn't like it. Like, I did not like 3D Legend of Zelda games. So when Breath of the Wild was announced and they started showing gameplay and stuff, like, I figured this would not be a game that I was interested in. But I still bought the game day one. I started playing it and then was again immediately hooked. like in the starter plateau area, I probably spent a good 15 hours just in that area, exploring, just like trying to do a bunch of stuff, taking in all the sights, listening to all the sounds. And then I like got off the plateau and found out that that was like what, like 1/100th of the game map or something like that. And I was just like, it's going to take me forever to get through this game. And I probably put a good, I think it was like 250 hours my first playthrough of this game, and every second of that was awesome. Definitely a game that will live in my top 10. And in the same vein, Super Mario Odyssey. I have not been a big fan of Mario games since like Mario 64. I haven't really enjoyed a Mario game. Like I don't like 2D side-scrolling Mario games that much. I'd say like Super Mario World, Super Mario 3, and then Mario Land 2 are like the only other Super Mario games that I actually kind of like. And then Mario 64 I thought was just awesome because it was like an adventure game, and a 3D adventure game was kind of like an open world game where you could just kind of do whatever you wanted. And I thought it was super cool. And then everything after that, it just, again, I didn't like it. For whatever reason, I didn't like it. But then along comes Mario Odyssey, and this is just like a celebration of all things Nintendo, all things Mario. And like, I freaking loved my entire playthrough of this game. And then in my first playthrough of this game, I did Dark Side and Darker Side, and like I did the grind to get through both of those things, and then I immediately started the game over again. Like I was hooked on this game when it first came out, and yeah, this is another one I freaking love it. Okay, next game up is going to be Sword of Hope 2 for the Game Boy. This was one of the first person RPG games that I ever played, and on the OG Game Boy, this was the OG Game Boy was the first console that was just like mine, and I could sit and I could play games whenever I wanted to. I used to just lie in my bed at night. I remember like for Easter one year, my mom got me a light that you could put on the Game Boy, and so at night I would like turn this light on. Like you couldn't see the center of the screen, but you could see the outlines of the screen. But it was still enough for me to be able to sit in my bed and like play the Game Boy whenever I wanted. And I also used to sneak my Game Boy into school. And when we'd have like reading time, be sitting with my best friend. We'd both be playing Game Boy. But like Sort of Hope 2 was one of the few Game Boy games that I had, and I just remember on long car trips and stuff, like I was always playing Sort of Hope, and like I just loved it. It was just like I said, it was the OG Game Boy was one of the first console that was just mine, and it allowed me to play games whenever I wanted to. And Sort of Hope was one of the first like really long RPG games that I played on my own, and so I just have a lot of like good nostalgic feelings for this game. And I don't know, like I really love this game, and it's definitely the game that kind of got me into first person RPG games. And I suppose I just keep it going with Game Boy. The next one up is going to be Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. So my copy of my original copy of Link's Awakening came bundled with my Game Boy, and so it's technically my first Game Boy game. And I remember, like in my family, our Christmas tradition is to open one gift on Christmas Eve, and I kind of had a feeling because like I used to leave my parents advertisements. I put like tape them to the wall and stuff or whatever I wanted for Christmas, and like I plastered my wall with Game Boy that year, and like I was just hoping and hoping and hoping that I got a Game Boy for Christmas, and so on Christmas Eve I was just like looking and looking for any box that might be Game Boy shaped, and I'm trying to remember. Did I actually find it on Christmas Eve? I can't remember if I did. I just remember definitely on Christmas Day, I ended up getting a Game Boy, and then with that Game Boy, it came bundled with Link's Awakening. And from that point on until I beat the game, like my Game Boy was like, it was like a second or third appendage. Like it was always with me, and I was always trying to play Link's Awakening. And this is the first Legend of Zelda game that I played on my own and ended up beating. And I just remember when the remake came out and people were talking about how hard and cryptic it was. Like I wanted to express to them, like, as a kid, I beat this game with no strategy guide and no internet. Like, the remake actually had a bunch of stuff in it to make it easier for people to beat. So, like, the OG version of this game has a special place in my heart for just how difficult it was and the fact that I was able to get through it on my own. And then, like, I don't know, I just something about the Game Boy graphics, the Game Boy sound effects and stuff. Like, it's just this game will live in my heart forever. Okay. And then the next one up is going to be Lunar's Silver Star Story Complete. This was my first working designs game. I don't think there's anything on the back, but this was my very first working designs game. And I remember when it came, when I bought this copy of this game, I had asked one of my brothers to take me to Best Buy, and I had every intention of going there to get Resident Evil 3. And when I got there and I started looking at the games, I saw this game sitting on the bottom shelf, like under all the PlayStation games. And I was just kind of blown away. I don't know if it comes across really well, but the title and stuff was like a foil, of reflective foil. I don't even know what it's really called, but it's very eye catching. And then the cover, I don't know if that's really going to show either, but it's kind of embossed. Like, this comes out of the paper, and like if you ran your hand across it, it's kind of textured. And so when I picked this up and I was like just looking at all the shiny textured things coming out, I was kind of blown away. And then you can open this up, and then it has some screenshots and stuff showing the game. I was just blown away by this bundle, and it was the same price as Resident Evil 3. So then I was like, I had a conundrum. I had to try to figure out which game I wanted to get. And I ended up getting this game. And still to this day, I've never owned a copy of Resident Evil 3, which is kind of funny. But like, I ended up getting this game, and we were on vacation at the time, like holiday vacation, visiting our extended family. And it was probably like 2 weeks went by before I could actually play this game. But when we finally made it back home and I started playing this game, instantly hooked. This is probably my favorite JRPG of all time, and I just love everything about this game. The music in this game is incredible. The art style I always thought was pretty cool. Like, I used to be a pretty big fan of anime, so like this game has a lot of anime style cutscenes, so it was just kind of cool seeing that back in the day. Like, this was in the day where cutscenes were pretty new. Like, I think Final Fantasy VII was the first game that I remember regularly seeing cutscenes in a game, and just to see anime style cutscenes in a game, I thought was kind of cooler than seeing the CGI ones in Final Fantasy VII. But like, I don't know, just something about this game, like grand adventure. You end up meeting a bunch of people, and you end up joining your team, and like the power of friendship takes over, and then you save the world. Like, just everything about this game screamed epic adventure, and I loved every freaking second of it. All right. So, Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. This is one of the first Super Nintendo games that I had. This is going to be pretty much the same vein as Link's Awakening. Graphically and gameplay wise, this still reminds me a lot of like Link's Awakening. So I played this one after I'd played Link's Awakening. And this game I liked. Well, it's obviously got color. So that was like, I was like, oh man, this is like Link's Awakening, but with color. But like the scale of this game was like so much larger than Link's Awakening, and I appreciated that. And it was just a lot of fun. This is another game where it was just really cool to play through this game before the internet was like a real big thing. And then trying to figure out all the puzzles in this game, and then just explore the world, and then like not be spoiled on any of this stuff, but just to experience it as it was kind of a newish game. And I really enjoyed this game. I kind of wish that Nintendo would revisit this game. Like, it's kind of cool that they did a remake of Link's Awakening, and it's like it'd be cool if we got a remake of A Link to the Past, or maybe just like a re-release of it or something. Like, acknowledge that the game exists, Nintendo. And it's been a long time since there's been a top-down Legend of Zelda game. So I think Link Between Worlds was the last one, and that's essentially what, maybe a few years after the 3DS released. And then we haven't seen one since then. But yeah, it'd be cool to see another top-down Legend of Zelda game or just like a remake of Link to the Past. But I freaking love this game. And then the next one is going to be Super Mario RPG: Legend of the Seven Stars. I This was actually the last Super Nintendo game that I bought of my original games from when I was a kid. Uh, the year that I got this was, I think, maybe the year of or the year after the N64 released, and my best friend at that time, he ended up getting an N64, and like his birthday was a few months before mine, and like we would just be playing at N64 at his house all the time. And then like I did my normal thing where I just plastered my wall with the things that I wanted for my birthday or Christmas, and like N64 covered the wall. And I was just kind of hoping to get an N64 that year, but spoiler alert, I did not get one. Which, like, I'm not complaining about it. I'm not trying to be spoiled or anything. Just I didn't get one, but I was lucky enough to at least get some money for my birthday, and I used that birthday money to actually buy this game and Virtual Boy. Like I've talked about the Virtual Boy at one point, at least on this channel a few years ago, but I went into an electronic boutique at the time when it was still Electronics Boutique, and Virtual Boy was like on clearance. I bought the Virtual Boy for like 20 bucks, and then like three games that were like $5 or $10 each, and then I bought this game, and yeah, so it was a pretty good birthday. I'd say that I got a pretty good haul since the N64, but I just remember starting to play Super Mario RPG and then just being like, why hasn't this been a thing before? Like the Mario universe fits so perfectly in an RPG world, and like there was tons of humor. The music was always like memorable. Like I still can hum a lot of the music from this game, and I still do hum a lot of the music from this game randomly. And like this was a fairly long game. Like I remember this game taking me a while to beat my first time, and then this was another one that I just put into my yearly rotation and just kept playing it over and over and over. But yeah, like I always kind of wish that we'd gotten a proper sequel to Mario RPG. Like I know people always be like, Paper Mario is the sequel to Mario RPG, and it's like it's really not. Like I would rather have a Super Mario RPG Part Two. But since SquareSoft isn't really a thing anymore, and then like you don't really see Nintendo and Square Enix like collaborating much aside from like the Bravely Default games or whatever. Uh, yeah, I just don't see it ever happening. But we at least have this game, and then this game is one of the games that will live in my heart forever. Okay. And then the last, well, I guess we got three more games to go here. So let me go with this one first. Oh, geez. So this one's going to be Skyrim. uh, Funny story, I've never actually beaten this game, but I've probably played this game for well over 1,000 hours. I love me some Skyrim. This is my palate cleansing game that I just go to when I don't know what else I want to play, or like if I'm feeling sick or when the weather gets cold, I always kind of want to play this game. But I love, love, love just exploring this game, kind of wandering around and doing whatever. I'm actually replaying this game right now on Twitch. So if you're interested, on the weekends I play games, and I've been streaming Skyrim. And like I said, I just love kind of wandering around the world, doing whatever, just kind of getting into whatever trouble I can find myself getting into. But this is one of the few games that I have bought over and over and over every time it's released. It's released like four or five times since its original release on 360 and PS3 and PC, and I've bought it every time it's come out since, and I'll probably keep buying it for the foreseeable future. It's just something about open world Bethesda games, and specifically Elder Scrolls Oblivion and Skyrim, that just there's just such good games to just kind of lose yourself in. Okay, so next one up is going to be Hollow Knight. This game, I would say, is in the upper half of these top 10 games for sure. The first time I played this game, I played for like an hour, and I actually didn't really like it that much. I thought it was kind of boring, it was kind of slow, and I wasn't really sure what I was supposed to be doing. And so I put the game down, and then I didn't touch it again for maybe like 2 years or so. And then like after that 2 years, I ended up getting sick, which is like one of the first times I took a big break from YouTube. But I got kind of pretty sick, pretty badly sick, and so I couldn't really do much. And yeah, like it wasn't great. It wasn't a great period of time. Uh, but I ended up seeing this go on sale on Switch, like the eShop, and I ended up buying it and then just kind of messing around with it as I was just kind of like lying around and not really able to do much. And so something clicked with me that time that I picked it up again, and then I just like this game took over took over like my every thought. And then like almost 100 hours later, I finally beat this game. But just the exploration in this game was just so incredible. Like you got rewarded for always trying to just get into the weirdest nooks and crannies, and then like you'd find some cool secret, or you'd like run into like some NPC that you met earlier in the game, and then you got to kind of maybe exact some revenge if you wanted to, or you got like a little bit more lore about the world that you were in. Just like the way that this game was like an onion, and like the more that you explored, the more layers you peeled back, like the crazier and more beautiful this game became. And then the fact that this game was made by three people, like it's just insane to me. And like this game, I like I'd be willing to say that this is actually my favorite game of all time, is if long as we're talking about like gameplay and like story and stuff. um I think the next game we're going to talk about is probably my actual favorite game of all time, just because I can sit and play this game over and 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 not get tired of it. But yeah, like Hollow Knight is such a good game. If you've never played Hollow Knight, you have got to quit whatever game you're playing and then pick this game up right now and start playing it, because it is so freaking good. All right, and then this last game is Stardew Valley. Stardew Valley is such a ridiculously good game. I just don't even have words for like how incredible a feat this game is, and the fact that this game was made by one person. And I started trying to play Harvest Moon, like one of the older Harvest Moon's games again. And then I was playing Story of Seasons. It was like Pioneers of Olive Town, and like it's just like none of those games can hold a candle to this game. And it's just like Stardew Valley took the intent that those games were trying to like fulfill and follow, and then like actualized it into an actually fun game. Like Stardew Valley is like gaming distilled to me. Like it's got exploration, it's got like great story, like there's all kinds of like events and stuff that you can partake in. Like it's like slice of life and adventure game all mixed into one, and it's just like perfectly executed. The music is easily some of the best music in a video game that I've ever heard. And then they like was it Concerned Ape? Like he's just made the game better and better and better with each release. And I don't know, I feel like this is going to be just like 10, 20 years down the line, like when people are talking about games that are nostalgic to them, like this game will definitely be one of the games that stands the test of time, and people are still going to be talking about it. And like what I like about Stardew Valley more so than any of the other games that I've talked about is that a lot of people who traditionally wouldn't have called themselves gamers, quote unquote gamers, or would have not been interested in video games, started playing Stardew Valley and became very much interested in video games. And so this was like a gateway video game to a lot of people. And uh, I don't know, this kind of helped make video gaming a hobby that is accepted by a lot of other people because of just, I guess, how accessible the game is. But yeah, so that's going to be my top 10 favorite games of all time. This is a stupidly long video. I apologize. But I don't know. I've been kind of trying to find stuff to talk about on the channel. I don't feel like game collecting stuff is really that interesting anymore. I would say the analytics kind of reflected, or at least the way that I do game collecting stuff isn't all that engaging or interesting anymore. So I just kind of like I have a large game collection and I'm trying to figure out ways to show games in the game collection and make it kind of interesting. So I think stuff like this is a little more interesting where I can at least like talk about why I have the games that I have and what I find interesting about them. At least interesting for me to do. I don't know. I don't know if anyone's actually going to watch this video. But anyways, yeah, that's going to be my top 10 favorite game of all time. Like I said, if you are interested in starting your own channel and you're just looking for a video idea, please consider yourself tagged on this and make your own top 10 favorite video games of all time. And feel free to share the links down in the chat. If you don't want to make a video, please also feel free to just list your top 10 favorite games of all time. And if you want to talk about why they're your favorite games of all time, please go ahead and do that. But as always, thanks for checking out the video. I hope you're having a great week. And until the next time, peace.